Cool. Yep, we're back. Hopefully the connection's working out okay. It's Saturday, and I'm here with Michael Consoli. Hi, Michael. How you doing?
Good, John. How are you?
Hopefully our connection works out here. We'll let everybody join in the group, our live stream today. And the big topic for today is what's happening with cruising this summer. I mean, that's the real big question. So much has happened this week. So we hope you all join our group. I see people coming in, so we'll wait a little while here. But first, also, thank you for taking the time to join our live streams. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you being part of Cruise Addicts and the Viking Cruises group, the Royal Caribbean group, all our different channels that Cruise Addicts has. We're so happy to have Michael Consoli of PlanMyCruise.com here. Michael, what do you think of what's going on here with the cruise industry? I mean, we're trying to get restarted for July restart, and I know Viking's trying to start in June.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they are still planning on June departure. So, hopefully that will be the case. I know it will be just some difficult coordination to see if that's going to happen just because, we don't know how Europe is going to be in the next few months. But, it's exciting to see that we're starting to see some movement, elsewhere in the world as well.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people have some questions here, so we're going to go to some of these that people have brought to you and have asked on the group here. The big one is, when will cruise lines sail again? You think? We said July, maybe.
Yeah.
And where can you cruise this summer?
So I mean, we're as people have probably seen already, we're seeing the cruise lines kind of skirt around the CDC's rules for leaving from the U.S. and changing their ports to Nassau, St. Martin, and offering 7-day cruises around Nassau, around the Bahamas, different ports in the Caribbean from St. Martin, as well as Bermuda. So that's very exciting to see these cruise lines start sailing, or knowing that we're going to see them start sailing June 5th for sure. So that's very exciting. We've seen a lot of interest in those cruises. Royal Caribbean from the Bahamas and from Bermuda, Crystal Cruises from the Bahamas doing, just 7 days around the Bahamas, and then Celebrity sailing from St. Martin, which I think is probably very exciting for most people because it visits some really great ports. The Crystal sailings, some of them, I mean, they had their record selling day, the day that Crystal opened their 7-day Bahamas cruises. So that's very exciting.
And on that topic, you may have seen my live stream. I know we talked about it. Michael Bailey of Royal Caribbean made some comments, and maybe we'll pull that in now if some of the viewers haven't seen this. I'll try to add this here, and we'll actually.
What does this say about a bureau?
We're going to jump here. Look a second. I think it's right here. You can all watch this together. What he said was pretty profound.
Yeah, this was a great meeting, I think, for the industry for sure.
And just to recap to our audience here, this was a roundtable discussion by Governor Ron DeSantis yesterday at Port Canaveral, and he's with all these cruise line executives. Royal Caribbean's there, MSC, Norwegian, vendors that provide the food, uniforms, Carnival Corporation and Carnival Cruise Line, Disney Cruise Line. They're all there, and they're all pleading and trying to figure out, why is there a no sail order still in effect when we actually have vaccines? The last time the no sail order came out in, I think, October of last year, and there was no vaccines even on the table or available now. And so there's a lot of frustration because they're asking to restart cruising in July, by July at least. And so this is Michael Bailey. I wanted to share this all with you. Before we start the video, though, please, thank you all for joining for one thing, but please put a comment below, check in, let us know what cruises you have booked. We'd love to hear about what you have in the books. I don't know if I told Michael this or not, but I actually booked the Carnival Mardi Gras for July 24th. So I'm one of these people that actually hope that cruising, and I can bring my family on a cruise this summer. So let me know where you're going, if you have any cruises booked, if you have a vaccine. We don't want any arguments about vaccines. I know there's a lot of arguments about that. I really don't think it's an argument. I just think that the reality is, if it becomes a requirement where you need it, then you're going to have to make a choice eventually what you choose to do, how it affects your life. and so on and so forth. But we don't need to argue about it. It's just a personal choice, and we'll see what society brings. So we're going to get back to the video. This is Michael Bailey, President and CEO of Royal Caribbean Cruises, and what he says is it's pretty profound here. There's so many different things. I've actually got this on our YouTube channel. You can watch this down here. So let's go to it now.
And that we can be prepared. As you said, we can't just turn around the next day and start cruising. So we want to be able to have the direction that we need to be ready. Our ships are ready.
Been a devastating year for our industry and our business. We've effectively been shut down for over a year since the no sail order, and for the past 5 months since the CDC issued the conditional sail order, we've had literally no progress. And when we've inquired as to the progress of that conditional sail order, we've been told basically that it is in intergovernmental agency review. And we have been told that on multiple occasions. It's coming, but it's in review. We've got protocols in place that we've all worked on as an industry that are incredibly sophisticated and we believe are state of the art. And so we're confused. You know, we're a Florida-based entity. We have a huge business. We carry 9 million, 10 million Americans a year on vacations. They love these vacations. And suddenly, it's stopped. It's in intergovernmental agency review, month after month after month. It's devastating. We have now started to take our ships because we have to, and we've started to home port them in other locations. We announced that we're opening up in Israel because the Israeli government reached out to us and we had a collaborative process, and we're starting to cruise from Israel in June. We recently announced that one of our ships will be home porting in Nassau in the Bahamas. We opened it for sale a couple of days ago. Fantastic demand, primarily from our American customers. We announced that we're opening one of our ships and home porting it in Bermuda, and that'll start in June. Exactly the same thing. So we're in this bizarre situation where we're all Americans. We've got huge workforces in America. We buy all of our products in America. We supply our ships from America. Most of our customers are from America, and yet we cannot get any guidance. And so I thank you for your support, and it's wonderful to see, and it's great to be invited here to speak with you today. So thank you.
So you can actually really hear the frustration in Michael Bailey's voice. I mean, he's saying he had to take his ships offshore. I mean, you're talking about a company that's all these companies are being pushed in so many different directions and stressed. Both cruise lines, many of the cruise lines around that table actually said they had cut 40% of their workforce. I mean, these are
it's really unbelievable, you know, the impact that it has. And I think that you know, people don't realize, you know, there's a lot of conversations over the past years about how the cruise lines don't pay U.S. taxes on the sales on board their ships and things like that. But the truth is they employ hundreds of thousands of people in this country, whether it's travel agents, you know, the employees that work in their call centers, the staff that they have supporting those sales throughout the country. All of these people are working and paying U.S. taxes, and it's an industry that has been really bludgeoned by this whole thing, and nobody's paying attention to it. It's really, I mean, having lived through this in the past year, it's been, you know, it's been really difficult, and we're, you know, continuing to pay our people and you know, continue to operate and service our guests and working really hard to provide excellent service, 12-hour days, and we're not getting paid for it, and it's you know, it's really disheartening. We're ready for it to come back. So, you know, I'm excited to see these cruise lines move offshore and, you know, go around the CDC to get started again, because it's obvious that, you know, that the CDC is not going to move anytime soon on allowing the cruise lines to sail from these U.S. ports.
Yeah, and a little drop out there. These are huge companies. You think that when they actually call the CDC, that someone would actually pick up the phone and give them the time of day, and they're saying it's an what is interagency review when it's the CDC is the one in charge? I don't understand. Maybe someone can. I mean, they don't understand it, so I don't think we'll figure it out here either. But I don't understand, like, who's reviewing what? I thought the CDC was in charge. They're the one that's ordering the shutdown, and it's a.
I think they think it's a coordination between different agencies in the government, and nobody wants to take responsibility for who's going to start it back up. So again, I think that's why the cruise lines are going around them.
Affecting all these businesses. Oh, looks like we're back here. We're back. So it looks like we're having a little bit of technical issues as far as the connection, but it's going up and down. Yeah, it's crazy. So now they're literally saying, well, he said, she said, Bob in Office B is going to give it to Office C. I mean, how crazy is that? And like I said, you can hear the frustration, and I want to share that with you all. I thought Governor DeSantis did a great job. The one thing I had said earlier, the Secretary of State actually commented that they had lost 49,000 jobs in the first 6 months, and it's already been a year. And he was going through different statistics, which were billions of dollars in lost wages. I think $2 billion in lost wages in just the first 6 months, and on and on and on. It's just really, really sad. So like I said earlier, I'm leaving this little banner here. Please leave a comment below. We're going to go back to some more questions, but we want to hear your questions. Thank you all once again for viewing, joining our live stream. I'm here with Michael Consoli of PlanMyCruise.com. He's here to answer any of your questions, the travel agent questions, anything whatsoever. We're here to help you. And also, please, if you're a cruise addict of any type, for any brand, please check in. Let us know what cruise you have booked. We'll get your name here. We'll make you famous and put you on the screen here. I know Mandy is actually praying for cruising to come back, and we're right with you. And we really appreciate you commenting. So actually, we're going to go through our different comments here. Here's one. Douglas Banfield asked a question, and this was interesting. He says, why are the four big cruise companies not
Yeah, John, I think we've lost you again, but I think Douglas' question says, why are the big four cruise companies not sharing their private islands as a cruise option to just get going? And to be honest, I'm not really sure, but I'm certain it has to do with infrastructure or laws regarding those particular islands. I know that I agree 100% that would be great. And Royal has clearly recognized that their private island is a huge asset. Perfect Day at Coco Cay. They have two, most of the sailings from the Bahamas are going to have 2 days in their private island. So that's really an excellent question. But, the cruise lines have these islands and these assets, and I'm not sure what they're governed by, but I'm certain that if they could use them, they would be, because, there are great revenue streams for them as well. Although it's included, there's a lot of things included on the island. There are a lot of great things to pay for too. So that's a really great question.
Well, I know the cruise lines actually are using their private islands individually. The Royal Caribbean cruise, I know, are having 2 days at Coco Cay. I think the Adventure of the Seas was featuring 2 days at Coco Cay. And so, yeah, they're actually going to utilize it. I think maybe down the road, they actually will work together if this gets to some extreme position. I don't think it will. I think that might be too complicated, but you never know. I think it's been a strange year. But let's go back to our questions here, and please ask your questions below. We love to feature it. We've got some more coming in. We'll get to you here in a second. And as we go down here, it says, here's one of them. What's happening with Canada and Alaska sailings? Great question, because I've actually had someone ask that. Might be actually in here. Michael, what can you tell us about that? Let's see if Michael's here. Drop out. Michael, are you still there? He might have froze up. We're having a lot of questions. Michael, can you hear me? Hello? Looks like we might have lost him.
John,
Michael,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was wondering if you could, if we can go to this question, what's happening with Canada, Alaska sailings?
So, John, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. See? Can you hear me okay? I can hear you.
I can hear you now. So sorry, I don't really know what happened, but
no problem.
So were you asking about the question on the screen, what's happening with Canada and Alaska sailings?
Yes, I was wondering if you could help us out with that question. Nope, we must be having a question. We're having with our connection still. So maybe we'll try to go back to. We'll try to go to this video and look at different sections. We'll see if Michael. He's kind of frozen at the moment. Let's see what happens. We're having issues here. But you know, Rick Sasso actually made some comments here, which were really good too. Let's see if we can go to it. There you are.
Okay, something was up, right? I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it looks like it sailed up. It looks like it might have cleared up. I'm going to go to Rick Sasso because he made some pretty profound statements too. He actually made a comment here. Let me see if we can find it.
Business is back on track. But MSC's example is one that's profound. We took the first few months getting our crew and our passengers home last March. And from that moment on, we engaged our entire organization and every health administration, whether it was city, state, local, federal, pan-Europe, we engaged them to find out what was going to take for us to start cruising again. We launched cruises in August in the Mediterranean. We've had over 55,000 passengers sail with us since then. We have had 0 incidences of an outbreak. The model of what we have put together is one that should be a gold standard. The industry, and just again from my 50 years experience, this industry has never worked so closely together in the last year than we have in the last 50. And it's extraordinary compilation of expertise. But that example we have in Europe, you are safer right now on our Grandiosa than you are going into a local supermarket. We test every guest, COVID test, before they board the ship. They're tested before they leave home. They're tested again when they're on the pier. They're tested again during the cruise. All the crew are tested at least multiple times and checked every day. So the incidence will be almost 0, but never 0. But you are safe to go on a cruise ship today. We just need to get the CDC to now give us that time frame and say, okay, guys, we think you can do it. We know we can do it, but let's do it starting July 1st because we're ready and we've proven it. The statistics are clear. So we're anxious to do that, and our company, MSC, being a global footprint, we're certainly ready for North America and Florida to come back to life again. We're proud.
Wow, you can really hear the passion in Rick Sasso's voice, can't you, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, the cruise lines have spent millions of dollars on expert panels and all these things. I mean, you think about even what we've read about with Viking and installing these testing facilities on board their ocean ships. They've spent millions of dollars with these PCR testing labs that they're going to have on their ships, or that they already have on some of their ships, and they're installing on the others. It's really incredible that nobody's paying attention to the goalposts, you know, that keep moving for these cruise lines, and it's really, really frustrating. It has to be frustrating for them, you know, having those constant changes and spending millions of dollars. And I know from the consumer's perspective, it's very frustrating. I mean, every week, I mean, every day, it's the same questions when I come in. Are we going to sail? Are we going to sail? Do you know anything about our sailing? You know, and I mean, the clients are ready to go and they're anxious about their sailing, and we completely understand that. It's really, really important. People plan for months, now years for vacations, right? So, you know, it's really important, and people are spending their savings, and they've saved for these trips, and it's all, you know, hinging upon one organization saying whether or not, you know, we can get started again. and there's no rhyme or reason to it, really. It's really disappointing. But I mean, I can understand their frustration completely, because I see it every day and I hear it every day in our clients' voices, and I know they have to be frustrating, having spent all this money trying to make these work. So,
and can you speak about how many travel agents that have actually had major problems? I know we've talked about in the past. I mean, there's people just suffering that have gone out of business in many different aspects. Isn't that what you're seeing?
I mean, that's what we're seeing in the industry. I know that I get calls every day from people that are like, "Oh, my agency went out of business," and blah blah blah. And to be honest with you, I'm a very competitive person. I love the business that I am. I have a lot of passion for it. We don't want to see anybody go out of business, for these reasons. I mean, we really don't. It's really upsetting to see local businesses, online businesses go out of business. Some of the largest cruise companies, some of the largest cruise agencies, they've cut their staff so much. I'm getting calls from people like they can't get in touch with people, and it's really upsetting to see, because it's a thriving business. I mean, there's enough business out there for all of the agents that are out there. There's enough business for all of us. So it's really not about that. It's more about not letting these businesses fail. Just like Governor DeSantis said, we can't let these businesses continue to fail. And that's really, really important. We, as I said in the beginning, I've been paying my staff, the whole time, some parts working from home and some parts working in the office. But we're working long days to get people reaccommodated and get their refunds and their vouchers and all that stuff. It's very important to us to continue the level of service that we've always provided our clients. And it's really upsetting that we really don't see the industry getting back to normal with starting to sail again. So I understand the frustration.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that, because you just see the passion and the frustration and everything coming through in this press conference. And I know it's affected you deeply, and it's affected me. It's affected everybody in the industry, and some more than others. And it's sad. I mean, there's a couple of business owners in that video. I really appeal to you to go to YouTube, Cruise Addicts YouTube channel today, and watch that whole video. I'm going to show you one more clip here where the governor's talking about basically, so you can go, basically if Florida doesn't do it, people are going to, the cruise industry is going to adapt because they have to. Michael Bailey had said that earlier. They have to do this because they have to survive. And he talks about the frustration.
What does this say about a bureaucracy that can't even get its ducks in a row and just doesn't even care that people are hurting or that people aren't able to work or that people are on furlough? Like, you can't even bring yourself to come to the table and communicate and provide a way forward for people. I mean, it's really an example of poor leadership and poor governance. They should not have the authority to shut this down to begin with, let's just be honest. But to just not have any regard or have no sense of urgency after a year. And as they said, it's not just the people that they employ. You have all these other businesses and workers that are feeding into this. And it's all going to happen anyways. It's just not going to happen in the United States or in the state of Florida. I mean, how does that make any sense at all? Well, good morning.
Exactly. And I really admired the governor for just kind of talking about the facts. He didn't politically grandstand like some politicians do. He just talked about the facts, I thought, and it was really good. We've got a few comments, Michael, here I'd like to share with you. Sanity wants to know, will you have to travel? Will you have to vaccine to travel? And what's your take on that, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get this question every day, right? Some of the cruise lines are requiring the vaccine and some are not. The reasoning behind it, I believe, is that, like for Crystal to start, they immediately said, we're gonna require the vaccine. Royal Caribbean and Celebrity said the vaccine is required for guests 16 and over. It's really something that they're going to require so that they can get back started without the complication of having, this COVID thing get out of control again. So, I think that it's going to be required to travel. I think that's the indication in the industry, regardless of what people think politically or anything like that. It may not be dictated by the cruise line. It may be dictated by the airline that you're getting on. It may be dictated by the country that you're visiting. It may be dictated by the tour company that you're traveling with. It may not be up to the cruise line for your particular cruise. But I can say that the indication in the industry is that vaccines are going to be required to travel. So, I don't think it's anybody taking a political stance one way or the other about the cruise lines or the airlines or anything like that. I just think that that's what we're going to see happen. And who mandates it is really going to depend on those other factors.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's heading that way, where the majority want you to be vaccinated. I think right now, kids, if they allow kids on board, they're going to have to get a negative test. And I think it'll probably be that way for a while until they can kind of get COVID under control, and it maybe becomes a distant memory. They're right now. Okay.
Go ahead, John.
I know they're testing. They're starting to test the vaccine on children. So before long, that population will end up getting vaccinated as well. And I know Florida, for example, the governor mentioned yesterday, I think next week in Florida, people 40 and up will have the opportunity to get vaccinated. And then the week after that, this is how fast this is moving. The week after that, anybody of any age, 18 and up, will be able to be vaccinated. It'll be available to you. And he was actually saying that as week after week after week, more vaccines are coming on board and the supply keeps getting replenished. And of course, if less people are, wanting to take it, it's just going to potentially have a stockpile depending on where the population, if you want it, will be there. Different types. There's different types of vaccines, of course. So much is changing. It's happening quickly, and that's why the cruise lines and so many others are trying to get, really get prepared for a full vacation season. June, July. Which it's almost like the Christmas for travel, as far as the season. I mean, I imagine that's where they make a lot of their money. I mean, it is seasonal.
Yeah. And I think that the cruise lines really are not saying, okay, we're going to make sure everybody has a vaccination because, they're taking a stance one way or the other. I think that cruise lines are doing that because they want the guests to feel comfortable that other people will have had the vaccine on board the ship, that the other guests it's like when we talk about going to the grocery store and wearing a mask. We want the people around us to feel comfortable that we're not spreading it, so we wear a mask. I mean, that's just what it is. And but getting back to the Florida thing, I mean, obviously, and the governor, they're losing millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of tourism, revenue. These hotels are not full. I mean, I was in Florida a couple weeks ago, and on a Sunday, no less, at Fort Lauderdale Airport. And I was like, if we were here on a regular Sunday with a cruise port, there are thousands of people sitting around with their luggage waiting to check in because they can't check in until two hours before. And blah, blah, blah. I mean, and it was compared to that, it was empty, the airport. But I mean, people are definitely traveling, but it's nothing like the normal levels that it normally was. So, they're clearly, losing that revenue, and it's millions of dollars and it's millions of tax dollars. I mean, I'm sure more than millions, probably billions, but, of dollars that they're losing. So, I think I can see why they're concerned about it and why they want to get going. But there was a question, John, about Alaska and Canada and about that. And is it going to open, what's going on with Alaska and Canada? And, I'm sure people that are watching are aware that Canada has banned cruise ships under 100 passengers from sailing in their waters. And the cruise lines believe that they will be able to get that they believe that they're going to be able to either get Canada to lift that ban somewhat to raise the number of passengers allowable, or be able to use the Canadian ports as a service stop, possibly. So not necessarily, so they can conform to the Jones Act and have that stop in a foreign port, or quite possibly get Congress to give them a waiver for visiting a foreign port for the Jones Act, so that Alaska and Canada, so that Alaska cruises can sail and bypass Canada. So it is still an unknown, and the cruise lines are working on it, and that is a common question that I get every day. So,
I think do you think the Jones Act is outdated?
I think it's outdated, and in this case being utilized for something that isn't necessarily what it was designed for. So, again, it's one of those things that I think has no priority in Congress to get fixed. So,
yeah, I would like to see them actually just at least review it, maybe update it for whatever the reasons they initially had it. I think some of the things might have been good intentioned, but I know it was created a long time ago, and I think they should possibly at least spend a moment looking at that because it affects such a big industry. So one more question here. I think we talked about vaccines. Yeah, I think we said it looks like they're going to be required, like it or not, for travel. I say for the foreseeable future. I'd say until COVID is pretty much under control. Probably I'm thinking for at least a year. And then the next question was, we kind of talked to this, I think, are any special requirements for these new sailings this summer? And I think you talked about it earlier. Many are asking for vaccinations, and some not, negative testing in some cases. Some don't let you have children on board, some do.
Yeah, the requirements basically for these cruises that are leaving from other countries that are different than normal are going to be testing probably, before you get on. As we mentioned, the adults are going to be required to have a vaccine. And I'm speaking specifically about the cruises from the Bahamas, St. Martin, Bermuda. Most of the cruise lines so far are requiring those things. Also, they're going to require, these countries the islands that they're leaving from are going to require that guests have travel insurance. That's something that's not really been mandated in that part of the world before. So it will be very critical for every guest to have some sort of travel insurance with medical coverage, and that is a growing concern in our industry, that the insurance companies will cover, God forbid, illness from COVID while you're traveling. I know our policy does, and offer some sort of cost reimbursement for quarantining if that becomes an issue. So, that's really those are some really great questions to ask when purchasing in a policy. Is while most policies don't cover pandemic or epidemic, some policies will cover illness from COVID, quarantining because of COVID. Those are covered under the trip interruption clause. So it's really important to know that about your policy, and to know what the cruise, the country that you're leaving from, will require from you for insurance in the environment that we're cruising in today, or that we will be cruising in, hopefully.
Yeah, I didn't realize they actually had that as a requirement. That's something new to me. I learn something new every day. Of course, that's definitely an added cost for people that normally don't buy insurance. But let's go to some of our comments. I know we've been kind of sitting back on some of these. We talked about a couple people just checked in. Well, thank you. We've got Manuel says a Viking cruise. Jeff, he's got a Princess cruise booked. And like I said earlier, folks, thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time to come in here, check in, let us know what cruises you have booked. If you have any comments below or any questions whatsoever about cruise travel, please ask below. We'd love to field it here. Azim says, hello, everybody. Well, hello, Azim. Thanks for checking in. And let's see here. This is Nancy goes, I'm not sure if we covered this. Why aren't the cruise lines canceling Alaska 21 out of the U.S. ports yet? I don't know. Have they? I thought they did, Michael. Did you say that it's still coming up in the air, maybe? Let's see if Michael's there. Michael may have froze up here. Let's see if he's come. He looks like we might have lost Michael for a minute. He'll come back here, and I might go back to some of these videos here until Michael can join us. We've had we both had connection issues today. We've got plenty of people still watching in the room. Thank you again. But please ask a question below. So when Michael rejoins us, there's Michael. Come back in here. Hey, Michael.
Hey, John. Sorry, don't know what happened.
I tell you what, there's gremlins in this connection for some reason for both of us today. I know my connection was acting up, but Nancy was wondering, why aren't the cruise lines canceling Alaska cruises for 2021 at U.S. ports yet? And I don't know if you spoke about that earlier. You're saying it's kind of still up in the air. Are they just wishful thinking that maybe they just rearrange some things?
Yeah, they really feel very strongly that they're going to be able to either get Congress to give them a temporary lift on the Jones Act so that they don't have to visit a foreign port and can just continue sailing Alaska without a visit to Canada. Or they're also a little hopeful that Canada will increase the lift the cruise ship ban based on the way that things are progressing with the vaccine. So most of the time we see the cruise lines cancel if they think they're going to cancel right before we start having to accept final payments for these cruises. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case with Alaska. So I think that they're pretty hopeful that they might still be able to skirt around those constraints.
Have you had any clients book the land only portion? I know Princess was selling land tours, which I think would be a great option.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're very smart. They're utilizing the tour portion of the cruise that they normally sell as a cruise tour and selling it outright to guests directly. They own the lodges and the rail cars, and so they are able to do that. And yes, we've had several clients book just the Alaska trip. It's really an exciting option for people who, again, want to travel.
Yeah, I highly recommend that if that's something you want to do, because the Princess Lodges, I was able to visit every one of them, are stunning. I mean, it's a dream vacation in itself, just going to the lodges, and you get to do a lot of things that you can't reach because they are in the interior and the heart of Alaska. I highly recommend it. Beautiful train cars, rail cars that are pulled by the Alaska Railroad that go through the heart of Alaska. You see things and you do things that are just amazing. Thank you all again for joining us. We're actually going to take a few more questions. If you have any more questions for Michael or me, please put them, enter them below. Just check in. Let us know what cruises you have booked. We'd love to hear from you. I think we have a couple more comments here. Jeannie Garrett says she has a Carnival cruise in September. That is awesome. I love that time of the year because the prices are so good if it's a Caribbean cruise. What do you think are the best months to book, Michael?
For what part of the world? I mean, it does vary by parts of the world.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a great rate on a Carnival cruise and you're adults only, when would you book?
There's really no rhyme or reason to it. We used to have wave season, which was, January through April was the best time. But typically, for us, the best time to book is earlier. And I'll explain why. Because our system actually monitors pricing. So we are able to monitor pricing and make sure that our guests are getting the lowest possible price. So if they book early, I could come in at 2 weeks or 3 months later and see that the price has gone down on that cruise, and we will adjust the pricing and provide the guests with the lower price. So the earlier you book, the better, to be honest with you, to get the cabin category and the location that you want. And then if the pricing goes down, we're going to get you a better price.
Yeah, so what you're saying.
It's a great question. I get it every day.
And I've heard that before, because I guess you just can't beat it when someone books out, because I think I've kind of seen it myself, because it seems like the cruise lines, if you book it a year out or right from the beginning, from there, just incrementally the price goes up as the inventory on that ship as it sells, and there's less and less cabins, and they always have a sale, but the sale price still might not be as good as that original price. Is that what you're saying too?
Yeah, for sure. So it's different with different lines. Obviously, we see with Viking, when we're talking about Viking, which we spend a lot of time talking about, that their prices really, they kind of go up as the sailings get closer. We see them incentivize people to book on soft sailings or slow selling sailings by lowering the price of the air, but the cruise pricing typically stays the same. And that's very true of most of the luxury and premium brands. But, Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, Carnival, Princess, the mainstream lines, they gauge it based on how it's supply and demand. And so having that ability to monitor that pricing as it goes down is really something that is really beneficial and can help the client get the best price.
Excellent. I think we have a comment from the Viking group here, Michael, because of the way the question came in here. So it says, hello there. Do you have any information regarding this year's Viking River cruises in Europe, more specifically Portugal?
Yeah. So, again, it's really up in the air across the board right now, just because of the way Europe is. As I said, Viking currently is planning on sailing June 1st. And, we may see that push back again. But sailings that are inclusive of all in one country, like Portugal, right? So the whole cruise takes place in Portugal. It is less cumbersome for the line to operate that, because it's not going through 3 different countries. So they're not going to have to meet 3 different standards. So it's a great question. And the challenge with, as with any cruise, is, visiting more than one country, and having to meet the requirements for that country. And this environment is something that will affect cruising. And so when we see a cruise that's leaving and traveling all within one country, it's it's a good thing. So and this to know whether or not they're going to be able to sail during COVID. So.
And we've got more here this question's from Charlene. Thanks, Charlene, for asking us a question. We really appreciate it. We could do this all day if you guys keep asking us questions. I know, maybe a little bit, or maybe not the whole day, but Charlene asks, do you expect Carnival cruises from Australia in November to be a go? Great question. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that, Australia and New Zealand have been very tough with their rules regarding COVID and closing off their country. It's been very strong. So, to be honest, I think, the beginning of next year is very doable. I'm not really as comfortable maybe with November. So I'm not really sure, but, I think that just because of how stringent they have been about and how they've handled COVID, which, by the way, they've done very well with it. And I don't know that we'll see them open in November. It may be later than that.
Okay, excellent. Well, this is great. I tell you, so much information. We're really hoping that the CDC makes an arrangement, gives Florida a pathway and the cruise lines a pathway to begin sailing at least by July 1st. We really look forward to that. Any more final questions, please ask. In the meantime, Michael, can you tell everybody how they can reach you, how they can either move an existing booking, contact you for maybe a future booking?
Yeah, so the best way to reach me is, by phone at 800-913-7245. You can also email me at michael@planmycruise.com. And, I'm available to you anytime. So, if you ever call and try to reach me and I'm not available, one of my staff answers the phone, or you have to leave a message, just leave a message and we will call you back very promptly. And
do you have any cruise tips? I know a lot of people always looking for a cruise tip, and you are a heavy duty cruiser and traveler. Do you have any cruise tips that you can share with us?
Yeah, look, it's really, we talked about pricing and things like that and when to book. And really what you want to do is make sure you work with a qualified travel professional that's going to be able to help you find the best deals, tell you when the best time to travel to those parts of the world are, and make sure that they're going to take care of your vacation investment. I've told my clients all during this whole thing that it's almost like I'm a financial planner, helping them meander through these programs and figure out what's best for them and when to book again. can and all of that stuff. And so really the first thing that would have to say is to make sure you use a qualified travel professional, somebody that you trust and that can really help you find the perfect trip. And then, the tips as far as traveling and cruise lines and things like that, those are, really kind of subjective, right? Because I read Cruise Critic and Cruise Addicts and all these places, and they're like, you have a shoe holder for over the door to put all your stuff in the back of the bathroom. Well, I have to tell you, I probably have 4 things I need to put in there, so I'm not really sure that I need that. But that's a really great example of some of these tips that people give that don't necessarily apply to everybody. But I think when you're looking for the best sailing or the best price, it's really important to keep in mind that old adage that you get what you pay for. And, if you pick a sailing date that's the cheapest sailing date, it's the cheapest for the reason. And so the weather is probably going to be not so great. And if that doesn't matter to you, then that's great, right? So everybody's different. So, I have people that just want to go. They don't care if it's cold, warm, rainy, and then you have people that spend months trying to figure out, is it going to be the best weather? When is it going to be 72.5 degrees? And, we help them find that. And so that it varies by person what's important. And the best tip that I could give is to work with somebody that's experienced and can help you figure out what the best tips are for you.
That's great advice. I think, it's amazing because some people are flexible, but some people are not at all, are they? They want it.
Right. Everybody's different. I mean, to be honest with you, even with the cruise lines and the vouchers and figuring out whether they should use the voucher or take the refund or whether they should go this day or that day or how they get there. I just got off the phone with somebody before we started this call who has an extra 25% to spend on their cruise. And for me, I would use that 25% in a heartbeat to upgrade the cabin. That's just me. I'd rather have a larger cabin with more amenities, and this particular person was like, that doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to be in the cabin. I don't want to, it doesn't matter to me how close I am to my wife when she's in the cabin getting ready. I don't care how small it is. It's more about, I want to make sure I have the beverage package and I don't have to pay for the gratuities and all that stuff. So everybody's different. So the job is really, part of the job is really to help people figure out the best value, and the best value for me might be different from the best value for you. So, it's something that we do every day.
It really is a personal thing. Everybody's got, this is a important moment in people's lives, and they want it to be as perfect as possible. And your job is to align their wants and needs with the product. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I do every day. So it's not a cookie cutter job.
That's a magician.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I tell you what a privilege to have you here again, Michael, and thank you for taking the time to share your insight and knowledge on such a complex time in our lives and with cruise travel. Thank you for being here. And thank you all for being here. We've had a great audience here all throughout the live stream. All these live streams will be recorded on whatever channel you're watching now. You'll be able to watch it back at your leisure. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for the wonderful comments. And happy cruise planning, because I tell you what, it looks like cruising's on the horizon now. We can actually see some type of light at the end of the tunnel and over the horizon. So have a wonderful day wherever you are, and thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, John. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.